Welcome back to the channel Numismatic Coin Enthusiasts, Glowing Star. Today we're diving into the fascinating history of the 1972 Australian 50-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth. This coin is not just a piece of currency, it's a rare treasure with a low mintage, a unique shape, and a story that connects Australia's early decimal years with the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. If you love numismatics, history, and hidden gems of the coin world, then you're in the right place. Sparkles, let's get the start at to 5 first up. The 1972 Australian 50-cent coin holds an important place in the history of modern Australian currency, as it represents the early years of decimal coinage under Queen Elizabeth II. Australia shifted from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a decimal currency system on 14 February 1966, a change that modernized the nation's monetary structure. The 50-cent denomination was introduced as part of this system, originally in silver, and quickly became one of the key coins in circulation. The very first 50-cent coins of 1966 were made of 80% silver, which caused them to become extremely valuable due to their intrinsic metal content. They were hoarded by the public and soon withdrawn. In 1969, the Royal Australian Mint reintroduced the 50-cent coin, this time in a larger shape made from copper nickel instead of silver. The 1972 issue followed in this new design tradition, being only the fourth year of release for the copper-nickel 50-cent coin. On the obverse, the 1972 50-cent coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold, a British sculptor and coin designer. This was the second official effigy of the Queen used on Australian coins. In this portrait, Her Majesty is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland diamond tiara, which became one of the most recognizable symbols of her early reign. The effigy conveys youth, dignity, and continuity of the monarchy. The reverse of the coin features the Australian coat of arms, which was designed by Stuart Devlin, the official designer of Australia's decimal coinage. The coat of arms includes the shield with symbols of Australia's 6 states, supported by the kangaroo and the emu. Above the shield is the 7-pointed Commonwealth star, while below rests a decorative scroll. This design has become iconic, appearing consistently on the 50-cent coin since 1969. The composition of the 1972 50-cent coin is copper-nickel, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 15.55 grams and measures 31.65 millimeters in diameter, making it one of the largest circulating coins in Australia. Its distinctive shape made it easily recognizable by touch, which was especially helpful for people who were adjusting to the decimal system. In terms of mintage, the 1972 50-cent coin is considered a low mintage year compared to other issues. Only around 5.6 million coins were struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra. This relatively small number means the 1972 coin is one of the scarcer dates in the series, making it particularly desirable for collectors. Because of this low mintage, the 1972 50-cent coin has become well known among numismatists as a key date coin in the copper-nickel 50-cent series. While not the rarest of all Australian coins, it is much harder to find in circulation than many other years. High-grade examples, especially those that are uncirculated, carry a noticeable premium in the collector's market. The 1972 coin circulated during a period of economic and social change in Australia. The early 1970s saw the country modernizing rapidly, with new trade relationships, cultural shifts, and growing independence from Britain, despite retaining the Queen as head of state. Coins of this period, including the 1972 50-cent, symbolized both tradition and progress. For everyday Australians, the 50-cent coin was a practical denomination. It was equal to half of $1 Australian dollar and could buy a variety of goods at the time, such as a few liters of petrol or a bus fare. Its larger size gave it a sense of value, making it an important coin for commerce in the early years of decimal currency. The coin's durability also played a role in its long life. Unlike the earlier silver coins, which were quickly withdrawn, the copper-nickel alloy of the 1972 issue proved to be strong and resistant to wear. As a result, many examples of this coin still survive in circulation today, though often in worn condition due to over 5 decades of use. Collectors of decimal Australian coins often place the 1972 50-cent at the top of their must-find list. In circulated grades, it remains affordable, but in higher grades, particularly mint state or specimens, the value rises significantly. Some examples taken directly from mint rolls or sets are highly prized because of their sharp strikes and luster. The 1972 issue also helped solidify the popularity of the design. While unusual compared to round coins, the shape was practical, as it prevented confusion with other denominations. The coin could still be used in vending machines and stacked neatly, while its unique edges made it stand out from both smaller coins and the round $1 coin introduced later in 1984. Historically, the coin reflects the broader role of Queen Elizabeth II's image on Australian currency. By 1972, her portrait was already firmly established on all circulating coins, symbolizing Australia's membership in the Commonwealth. For Australians, seeing the Queen on their coins was both a reminder of heritage and an accepted part of national identity during her long reign. Over the decades, the 1972 50-cent coin has been studied for varieties and errors. Collectors pay close attention to double strikes or planchet flaws, which can increase the value significantly. While no famous national varieties are tied specifically to the 1972 issue, error coins from this year are still sought after as rarities. Today, the 1972 50-cent coin stands as one of the most collectible pieces of Australian decimal currency. It bridges the gap between being a coin of daily use and a numismatic treasure, depending on its condition. Its relatively low mintage compared to later years gives it enduring value, while its connection to Queen Elizabeth II makes it historically significant. The coin also serves as a snapshot of Australian society in the early 1970s, a time when decimal currency was still relatively new, and the country was finding its place in a rapidly changing world. Each coin minted during this period tells the story of both national pride and practical economics, captured in metal that has survived decades of circulation. In summary, the 1972 Australian 50-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II is far more than just a piece of pocket change. It is a coin that reflects the nation's transition to decimal currency, the artistic contributions of Arnold and Stuart Devlin, the importance of low mintage issues to collectors, and the lasting legacy of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Its combination of scarcity, history, and symbolism ensures its place as one of the most notable Australian coins of the century. Next up, the 1974 Australian 50-cent coin belongs to the modern decimal coinage system of Australia, which was introduced on 14 February 1966, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system. This change was one of the most significant monetary reforms in the nation's history, modernizing trade and aligning with international decimal standards. The 50-cent coin quickly became one of the most important denominations, serving both everyday commerce and long-term circulation. The very first 50-cent coin, issued in 1966, was round and struck in 80% silver and 20% copper. However, the rising price of silver soon made it more valuable for its metal content than its face value, leading to hoarding and melting. As a result, the Royal Australian Mint decided to discontinue the round silver 50 cent after just 1 year, making it a scarce collector's item today. From 1969 onwards, the coin was reintroduced in a shape made from copper nickel, which is still used today. By 1974, this new design had already become familiar across the nation. The obverse of the 1974 50-cent coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold, a British sculptor. This portrait was first introduced on Australian coins in 1966 and became iconic. In the design, the Queen is depicted wearing a tiara known as the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, gifted to her as a wedding present in 1947. The portrait emphasized youthful elegance and dignity, and it was used on Australian coins until 1984. The reverse of the 1974 50-cent coin showcases the Australian coat of arms, designed by Stuart Devlin, who also designed many of Australia's decimal coins. The coat of arms features a shield representing the 6 states of Australia, supported by the iconic kangaroo and emu, 2 native animals symbolizing progress since neither can walk backward. Above the shield rests the 7-pointed Commonwealth star, with 6 points representing the states and the 7th representing Australia's territories. The coat of arms was chosen for the reverse of the 50-cent coin because it represents the unity and sovereignty of Australia as a federation. Its detailed engraving and powerful symbolism made the 50-cent coin one of the most visually striking coins in the decimal series. By 1974, the design was well recognized and accepted as a national emblem on coinage. The 1974 issue was struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, which had been operating since 1965. The mint was responsible for producing all decimal coinage and ensuring consistent quality in circulation. Each 50-cent coin had a standard weight of 15.55 grams, a diameter of 31.5 millimeters, and was made from a 75% copper, 25% nickel alloy. These specifications ensured durability for heavy circulation use. One of the important aspects of the 1974 50-cent coin is that it was a regular circulating issue, not a commemorative. During the early 1970s, Australia was consolidating its decimal system, so maintaining consistency in circulating designs was a priority. The coin helped stabilize public confidence in the new system while also serving as a reliable medium for trade and savings. Australia in 1974 was going through a period of economic and political transition, with inflationary pressures and global economic shifts impacting everyday life. The 50-cent coin, being of relatively high denomination, was especially important in this environment. It was commonly used for significant purchases and in bulk transactions, often replacing the role that the 5-shilling coin had played in the pre-decimal era. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse also symbolized Australia's constitutional monarchy and its ties to the Commonwealth of Nations. The Queen was not only the monarch of the United Kingdom but also the sovereign of Australia, which gave the coin an added political dimension. For many citizens, seeing the Queen's likeness on their coins reinforced the continuity of tradition while adapting to modern currency. The year 1974 itself was a turbulent time in Australian politics, as the government under Prime Minister Gough Whitlam faced challenges, including economic recession and growing debate over Australia's national identity. The coinage of the period, including the 1974 50 cent, reflected both stability in design and gradual evolution in national symbolism. Unlike later years, no commemorative 50-cent coin was issued in 1974, highlighting the mint's focus on standard circulation. For collectors, the 1974 50-cent coin is considered relatively common in circulated condition, but finding specimens in uncirculated or proof quality can be more challenging. While it does not carry the rarity of the 1966 silver 50 cent or certain low mintage issues, the coin remains historically significant as part of the early copper-nickel 50 cent series. The 1974 50 cent also represents the enduring work of Stuart Devlin, often referred to as the goldsmith of the nation. Devlin's artistic contributions shaped the visual identity of Australia's decimal coinage, and his coat of arms design became one of the most enduring symbols on everyday money. For many Australians, the coin was their first introduction to heraldry and national symbolism. In terms of production numbers, the mintage of 50-cent coins in the 1970s was generally high to meet growing economic demands. While exact figures for 1974 vary depending on sources, millions of pieces were struck, ensuring wide circulation. This abundance helped ensure that the coin remains affordable for collectors today, though condition and quality significantly affect value. The coin also demonstrates the shift from precious metals to base metals in world coinage during the century. Rising silver prices made silver coinage impractical for mass circulation, and Australia was one of the early adopters of durable copper-nickel alloys. By 1974, the 50-cent coin was firmly established as a base metal coin, durable enough to survive decades of circulation. From a numismatic perspective, the 1974 50-cent coin is valued not only for its circulation history, but also for its place in the broader narrative of Australian coinage. Collectors appreciate it as part of the complete yearly issues of the 1970s, and some seek high-grade examples or error coins from this period off-center strikes, or coins with planchet flaws can fetch higher premiums. The survival of the portrait on the 1974 50-cent coin also connects it to a wider Commonwealth coinage tradition, as many other nations under Queen Elizabeth II used the same portrait. This gave the coins of Australia a sense of international familiarity while maintaining distinct local symbolism on the reverse. It is this blend of the global and the national that gives the coin its unique cultural place. In conclusion, the 1974 Australian 50-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II is a product of the nation's early decimal currency era, combining the regal portrait of the monarch with the proud symbolism of the national coat of arms. Though not rare, it remains a significant piece of history, embodying Australia's evolving identity, its ties to the Commonwealth, and the practical realities of coinage in a modern economy. Today, it continues to be collected and studied as part of the rich tapestry of Australian numismatics. Next up, the year 1975 marked an important chapter in Australia's coinage history, particularly with the circulation of the 50-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II. Australia had introduced the decimal currency system in 1966, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system with dollars and cents. Among the newly introduced denominations, the 50-cent coin was one of the most significant. By 1975, the coin had already undergone notable changes in design and composition, reflecting both the needs of the economy and the evolving image of the British monarch on Australian coinage. The very first 50-cent coin of 1966 was composed of 80% silver and 20% copper, which made its intrinsic metal value higher than its face value. Due to this issue, these coins were quickly hoarded by the public and became uneconomical for mass circulation. To resolve this problem, in 1969, Australia replaced the silver-based 50 cent with a copper-nickel version, which was lighter in weight and had a distinctive by the time 1975 arrived. The copper-nickel coin was firmly established as the circulating standard. The obverse of the 1975 50-cent coin bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Designed by Arnold, this portrait, introduced in 1966, shows the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. The portrait is widely recognized for its elegance, and became one of the most iconic representations of Queen Elizabeth II on Commonwealth coinage. By 1975, it had been in use for nearly a decade on Australian coins, symbolizing the continuity of monarchy during a time of political and social change. The reverse design of the 1975 Australian 50-cent coin features the Commonwealth coat of arms, designed by Stuart Devlin, who is the official coin designer for the decimal series. The coat of arms includes the shield with symbols of the 6 Australian states, supported by the kangaroo and emu, 2 native animals chosen for their strong cultural identity and inability to walk backward, symbolizing progress. Above the shield rests the 7-pointed Commonwealth star, representing the unity of the states and territories of Australia. The 1975 issue was part of the regular mintage series and not a commemorative coin. However, its presence during the mid-1970s gives it historical importance because this was a decade of significant changes for Australia. Politically, the country witnessed shifts in leadership, social reforms, and debates over national identity. The coin, while a regular circulation piece, silently witnessed these transformations, carrying the face of the monarch on one side and the national symbols on the other. The size and weight of the 1975 50-cent coin were standardized at 31.5 millimeters in diameter and 15.55 grams in weight. Its shape not only made it visually distinctive but also prevented confusion with the circular 20-cent coin. The edges were smooth rather than reeded, another design feature that set it apart. These physical characteristics helped the 50-cent coin remain one of the most recognizable denominations in Australian currency. During 1975, the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra produced millions of 50-cent coins to meet circulation demands. While not considered rare in a general sense, the 1975 dated pieces remain interesting to collectors due to their age, their historical context, and the fact that they were struck in a period when Australia's coinage was stabilizing after the decimal transition. The exact mintage numbers for 1975 show that it was a year of solid production, ensuring wide availability. Queen Elizabeth II's role on the obverse of the coin reflects Australia's constitutional monarchy system. While the nation was increasingly embracing its independent identity, the presence of the Queen on coins reinforced the continuing symbolic link with the British Crown. This balance between independence and tradition was mirrored in other aspects of 1970s Australia, such as debates over cultural independence, political reforms, and growing national pride. The 1975 50-cent coin is also notable for being struck during a turbulent political year in Australia. The dismissal of Prime Minister Gough Whitlam in November 1975 marked one of the most dramatic constitutional crises in the country's history. Though coins are apolitical objects, collectors often link coinage with the broader events of their time, and the 1975 50-cent piece stands as a silent witness to that historic upheaval. From a numismatic perspective, the condition of a 1975 50-cent coin significantly affects its value. Circulated examples are common and usually only hold face value, but uncirculated or proof versions are more sought after by collectors. Proof sets issued by the Royal Australian Mint included pristine examples of the coin, preserved in specially designed packaging, making them attractive for numismatic enthusiasts today. The copper-nickel alloy of the 1975 coin, while less intrinsically valuable than the silver 1966 version, had advantages. It was durable, resistant to wear, and much more cost-effective to produce. This ensured the longevity of the coin in circulation, and many examples from the 1970s remain in usable condition today, nearly half a century later. Design-wise, the coin reflects the artistry of Stuart Devlin, whose vision for Australian coinage was to create designs that were both functional and symbolic. By placing the national coat of arms on the 50-cent coin, Devlin reinforced the idea that this denomination would be a strong national emblem, distinct from the lower denominations that featured Australia's unique fauna. Collectors often compare the 1975 issue with those of surrounding years. The mid-1970s saw consistent designs with no major changes, which can sometimes make individual years less remarkable. However, it is precisely this stability that gives the 1975 coin importance. It represents the period of consolidation after the experimental introduction of the 1966 silver coin and the smooth continuation of the copper-nickel version. Over the years, the coin has gained a nostalgic quality for Australians who lived through the 1970s. It is a tangible reminder of everyday transactions, childhood memories, and the cultural climate of the time. Coins are not only monetary tools but also cultural artifacts, and the 1975 50 cent is a perfect example of how even ordinary circulation issues carry stories of national history. In terms of rarity, the 1975 50 cent coin is not considered scarce, but certain high-grade specimens can command collector premiums. Proof coins or coins in mint-state condition with little to no wear are particularly valuable to numismatists. Error coins, such as those struck off-center or with die cracks, are also of special interest and can dramatically increase a coin's desirability. Today, nearly 50 years later, the 1975 Australian 50 cent coin remains an enduring piece of numismatic history. While it may not be among the rarest or most expensive Australian coins, its value lies in its role as a snapshot of its era. It bridges the story of Australia's decimal transition, the monarchy's presence in national life, and the socio-political events that shaped the nation during the 1970s. In conclusion, the 1975 50 cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II is more than just a piece of currency. It represents Australia's journey in establishing a stable decimal system, showcases the artistry of Stuart Devlin and Arnold, and reflects the broader historical events of its time. Whether held in a collector's album, preserved in a proof set, or found in everyday circulation, it stands as a lasting reminder of the heritage and identity of Australia during the century. Next up, the 1976 Australian 50 cent coin is a significant part of Australia's decimal currency series, which was first introduced in 1966. This coin replaced the older pre-decimal half-dollar coin and was intended to modernize the currency system by making it more uniform and easier for the public to use. The 50 cent denomination became an essential piece in circulation, bridging the gap between the smaller coins and the $1 notes of that time. By 1976, the 50 cent had already established itself as a familiar coin in the pockets of Australians. One of the defining features of the 1976 50 cent is its shape. This shape was first introduced in 1969, after the earlier round silver 50 cent coin of 1966 caused confusion with the 20 cent piece and became expensive to produce due to the rising value of silver. The coin was not only cost-effective, but also made it easier for people to distinguish from other denominations by touch and sight. The obverse of the 1976 50 cent features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold. This portrait had been introduced on Australian coinage in 1966 and remained in use until 1984. The portrait depicts a youthful Queen Elizabeth wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of the most famous pieces in her jewelry collection. This regal image symbolized continuity with the Commonwealth and the monarchy's role in Australia's national identity. On the reverse side of the coin, the design showcases the Australian coat of arms, which has been the standard reverse for the 50 cent since 1969. The coat of arms includes a shield divided into 6 sections, each representing one of the states of Australia: New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania. The shield is supported by a kangaroo on one side and an emu on the other, two native animals chosen to symbolize progress and resilience, as neither can walk backward easily. The coat of arms also features a golden star, known as the Commonwealth Star or Federation Star, above the shield. This star has 7 points, 6 representing the states and 1 for the territories. The entire emblem sits upon a background of stylized grass, completing the detailed reverse that embodies both tradition and national pride. This design was created by Stuart Devlin, the designer of many iconic Australian coin reverses. In terms of composition, the 1976 50 cent was struck in alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 15.55 grams with a diameter of 31.5 millimeters. This made it one of the largest and heaviest circulating coins in Australian currency. Its durability and unique metallic color gave it a solid presence, which further enhanced its usability and recognition among the people. The mintage for the 1976 50 cent was substantial, as it was a regular circulation coin. Millions were produced at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, ensuring that the denomination was widely available for everyday transactions. Unlike some commemorative issues, the 1976 piece did not carry special inscriptions or unique themes, but its role as a workhorse of the currency system made it highly important. Although it was a standard issue, collectors often pay attention to the 1976 50-cent coin for its quality, minting variations, and condition. Coins struck with sharper details, fewer marks, or in proof sets are considered more desirable. In higher grades such as uncirculated or proof condition, the 1976 50-cent has value beyond its face denomination, especially among numismatists. The year 1976 itself was notable historically, as it marked the bicentennial year of the United States, but was also a period of cultural and economic development in Australia. The coin thus reflects a broader global context of change and modernization in the 1970s. While Australia did not release a commemorative 50-cent that year, the regular issue still symbolized stability during an era of international and domestic growth. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse remained consistent with earlier and later years of the decade, creating a sense of continuity across Australian coinage. This design is particularly admired for its elegant lines and refined representation of the Queen, which contrasted with the more mature portraits used later in the 1980s and beyond. For many Australians, this image became synonymous with their everyday money experience. For collectors today, the 1976 50-cent coin represents a snapshot of Australian currency in the mid-1970s. Its lack of commemorative features does not diminish its historical importance, as it shows the ongoing use of the national coat of arms as a unifying emblem. This continuity emphasized the importance of national identity at a time when Australia was strengthening its own voice on the international stage. Error coins from 1976 also hold interest among collectors. While most examples are standard, occasional minting errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks can command higher values in the numismatic market. These anomalies highlight the mechanical challenges of coin production and provide unique variations for enthusiasts to discover. In circulation, the 1976 50-cent coin played a vital role in larger transactions, especially when combined with $1 or $2 notes. Its large size made it easy to spot and count, though it also meant that many people found carrying multiple 50-cent coins somewhat bulky. Nevertheless, its practical role ensured it remained an integral part of daily commerce. The coin also reflects Australia's ongoing journey toward developing a distinct cultural and political identity separate from Britain, even as it retained the monarchy on its currency. The inclusion of Queen Elizabeth II's image signified loyalty to the Commonwealth, while the reverse with the Australian coat of arms emphasized national sovereignty and pride. From a design perspective, the 1976 issue demonstrates the balance between international symbolism and local heritage. The Queen's portrait represents ties with the Crown, while the kangaroo and emu on the coat of arms root the coin firmly in Australian soil. This duality gave the coin both familiarity and uniqueness, appealing to both everyday users and collectors. Today, the 1976 50-cent coin continues to be found in circulation, though many examples show significant wear due to their age. For collectors, high-grade specimens or proof versions remain the most attractive. The coin serves as a reminder of the durability of Australia's decimal currency system, which has now been in use for over half a century. In conclusion, the 1976 Australian 50-cent coin is more than just a piece of change. It is a tangible link to the country's economic, cultural, and political history. Its shape, depiction of Queen Elizabeth II, and detailed coat of arms design make it a distinctive part of Australian numismatics. Whether kept as a collectible or used in everyday transactions, the 1976 50-cent stands as a symbol of national pride and the enduring story of Australia's coinage. Next up, the 1969 Australian 50-cent coin holds a very special place in the history of Australian numismatics. Introduced just a few years after the country switched from the old imperial pounds, shillings, and pence system to decimal currency in 1966, this coin reflects both a young Australia's economic transition and its loyalty to British traditions. The coin bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who at the time was in her early years of reign, symbolizing the connection between Australia and the British Crown. The 50-cent coin in 1969 was not the first of its kind, but it was the first time the denomination appeared in the shape when decimalization happened in 1966. The first 50-cent coin was made of 80% silver and 20% copper, but the rising value of silver meant that the metal content soon became worth more than the face value. As a result, the government quickly withdrew the silver round coins and redesigned the denomination in a distinctive copper-nickel version. The 1969 coin, therefore, represents the continuation of this new, practical design. The obverse of the coin featured the first official decimal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Obe, a renowned British sculptor. This portrait shows the young queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of her most recognizable symbols of elegance. The effigy was used on Australian coins from 1966 until 1984, making the 1969 50-cent coin an early example of this historic design. The reverse of the 1969 50-cent coin carries the Australian coat of arms, designed by Stuart Devlin, the Royal Australian Mint's chief designer at the time. This intricate design displays a kangaroo and an emu standing proudly on either side of a shield which contains symbols of Australia's 6 states. Above the shield sits the 7-pointed Commonwealth star, symbolizing the unity of the nation. This powerful design reinforced the sense of national identity that was growing stronger during the late 1960s. The year 1969 was a period of great change in Australia. Politically, socially, and culturally, the country was finding its own voice. The 50-cent coin of this year, with its British monarch on the obverse and Australian national arms on the reverse, reflects this duality, loyalty to the crown and pride in independent national identity. Coins, therefore, were not just currency but subtle tools of cultural expression. The coin was minted in copper-nickel alloy, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This gave the coin a silver-like appearance while ensuring that production costs remained far below the intrinsic metal value, unlike the earlier 1966 silver issue. The durability of copper-nickel also meant that these coins could withstand decades of circulation, many surviving in decent condition today despite heavy use. In terms of specifications, the 1969 50-cent coin weighed 15.55 grams, had a diameter of 31.65 and was. Its unusual shape not only helped it stand out among other denominations but also made it easier for people with visual impairments to recognize it by touch. This innovation was practical and unique, ensuring that the coin became iconic in everyday Australian life. The mintage of the 1969 50-cent coin was relatively modest when compared to other years. The Royal Australian Mint struck around 14 million coins, which was enough to meet circulation demands but still left this year's issue scarcer than some later dates. As a result, the 1969 50-cent coin is often of interest to collectors, particularly in higher grades. From a collector's perspective, the 1969 50-cent coin is valued more highly in uncirculated or proof condition. Circulated examples are quite common and usually worth just a little over face value, but pristine examples with original mint luster can attract premium prices. Proof strikes, specially made for collectors, are even more desirable due to their rarity and mirror-like finish. The coin's condition is assessed using standard numismatic grading scales. Coins with heavy wear from circulation are typically graded as fine or very fine, while those with minimal handling are extremely fine. Uncirculated examples show no signs of wear, and proof coins struck with polished dies represent the highest quality. The 1969 50-cent coin can reach much higher values when found in these upper grades. Historically, the coin also tells us about Australia's place in the Commonwealth during the late 1960s. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait continued to reinforce ties with Britain, but the prominence of the Australian coat of arms demonstrated the nation's increasing confidence as an independent country. This was a time when Australia was asserting itself on the world stage, and its currency reflected this balancing act. The use of the shape also has symbolic value. Unlike round coins, the shape ensured that the 50 cents stood apart from other denominations and immediately became associated with uniqueness and innovation. This shape was so successful that it has remained unchanged for more than 50 years, making the 1969 issue an important early example of a design that continues today. The 1969 50-cent coin also demonstrates the importance of practical economic decisions in coin design. The abandonment of silver in favor of copper-nickel was not just about cost savings, but about ensuring that the coin could remain in circulation without being hoarded or melted down for its bullion value. This shows how monetary authorities must constantly balance beauty, symbolism, and practicality when issuing coins. For everyday Australians in 1969, this coin was a significant denomination. At the time, 50 cents had considerable purchasing power, able to buy basic groceries, cinema tickets, or even contribute towards larger household items. Thus, the coin was not just a collector's item but a very useful part of daily economic life. Over time, as inflation reduced the real value of the 50-cent coin, its role in circulation changed. However, the 1969 issue remains nostalgic for many Australians who grew up using it during the 1970s and 1980s. Its sturdy design meant that many coins continued to circulate for decades, creating strong memories among generations of Australians. In the broader timeline of Australian coinage, the 1969 50-cent coin is significant because it firmly established the copper-nickel series after the short-lived silver version. It represents the successful adaptation of the Australian mint to the challenges of modern coinage, setting the standard for all future 50-cent coins. Today, the 1969 Australian 50-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II is admired not just for its historical and numismatic value, but also as a cultural artifact. It bridges the early years of decimalization with the enduring traditions of monarchy and national pride. For collectors, it serves as a reminder of Australia's innovative approach to coin design, while for historians, it reflects a nation balancing tradition and independence at a pivotal moment in its history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about the history of the 1969 Australian 50-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more rare coin stories and numismatic history. Your support helps us bring more valuable content every week.